Welcome to another reaction. Potentially one day a new series, who can say? But for now, this is a Patreon request from a $10 patron, and they requested. I think it's one of two pilots, and I can kind of choose. And this is the one I've gone for. So this is Avatar: The Last Airbender, which I know is quite a beloved kind of franchise. I don't personally know that much about it. I remember it being on. I remember catching like a few clips of it here and there, but I never like actively watched it, and I couldn't really tell you the plot apart from there are like people who can control fire and water and earth, maybe air as well.
Maybe air as well. Maybe air as well.
All like the elements basically. Aside from that, I don't know. I know there's like a bald kid. I think his name's Aang. I think. And there's also a movie that is quite famously shit, which I've never seen because it's famously shit. But yeah, I've always been meaning to get to this, and I've always wanted to try it out. So when the opportunity arose from a patron requesting it, I was like, let's give it a go and see how it is. I don't tend to do many animated stuff in terms of reactions, so I'm kind of excited to do something a bit different. And yeah, to go in with basically not much of an idea at all what to expect in terms of characters and storylines and stuff, it's kind of exciting. And yeah, I'm very intrigued, and you know, this is kind of going to be testing the waters. You may be watching this on Patreon right now if you get like the full reaction. You may be watching this on YouTube. I'm going to try and put a cut on YouTube and see how it stands copyright wise. That's really going to be the big decision as to whether or not one day I continue this on YouTube. It might just be like a Patreon exclusive thing if I do carry on. I don't know yet. Depends how the copyright thing goes, because I know these kind of shows can be a bit dodgy at times. We'll see how it is. And yeah, either way, very excited for this, so let's get into it.
The Avatar kept balance between the Water Tribes, Earth Kingdom, Fire Nation, and Air Nomads. But that all changed when the Fire Nation attacked.
Of course it was the Fire Nation.
But when the world needed him most, he vanished.
Social distancing.
100 years, I still believe that somehow the Avatar will return to save the world.
I think so too. Ooh, book, chapter. I love getting new lore. It's always really exciting.
Sokka, look!
That is cool. Oh. Oh dear.
Why is it?
Oh dear. Oh no. Well.
Leave it to a girl to screw things up.
She can drown you, right?
Most sexist, immature, nut-brained... I'm embarrassed to be related to you. From now on your own.
Cool boy.
Congratulations.
Pretty good icebreaker though. Aha! I know who that is, I think. Me.
Finally.
Oh.
Uncle, do you realize
I think
what
he's
this
probably
means?
evil.
Why don't you enjoy a cup of calming jasmine tea?
I don't need any calming tea. I need to capture the Avatar.
I think you do.
Stop it! Come closer. What is it? Will you go penguin sledding with me? Sure. I guess.
Oh.
What's going on here?
His face. Whoa, jeez. I wonder what the arrow thing's about. Is it like a sat-nav?
What is that thing?
Oh yeah, I'm sure he's a spy for the Fire Navy. You can tell by that evil look in his eye. The paranoid one is my brother, Sokka.
Oh, bye. He flies into the sun.
You're an airbender. Sure am.
Giant light beams, flying bison.
Is he the last one?
I think I got Midnight Sun Madness. I am not getting on that fluffy snot monster.
Are you hoping some other kind of monster will come along and give you a ride home? You know, before you freeze to death? Okay, first time flyers, hold on tight. Appa, yip yip.
Whee! Oh.
Wow, that was truly amazing.
Appa's just
Alright.
This coward's 100 years in hiding are over.
I wonder how he got, like, the burn or scar there. I'm sure we'll find out.
I didn't know him. I mean, I knew people that knew him, but I didn't. Sorry. Okay, just curious. Good night. Sleep tight.
Why you always lying? Oh, he throws himself in there.
What is this, a weapon? You can't stab anything with this.
It's not for
But enough force.
It's for airbending.
Ooh.
Do it again. Not magic, airbending.
I want one of those. Oh. He died.
I sense he's filled with much wisdom. See?
The
Like that.
Earth is doomed.
The sages tell us that the Avatar is the last Airbender. He must be over 100 years old by now. He's had a century to master the 4 elements. I'll need more than basic firebending to defeat him. You will teach me the advanced
So it is Aang, I guess.
Very well.
But they think he's going to be older, but he's frozen himself.
Finish my roast duck.
Oh, okay.
They're counting on you to be the man of this tribe. And that means no party breaks.
But I really gotta go.
Okay, who else has to go?
Can you waterbend pee?
Wow, everything freezes in there.
Oh, Katara, get him out of here.
Oh. Wow.
He's kidding, right?
Oh man, this is Batman's worst nightmare.
I have a way with animals.
You certainly have a way.
But we haven't had contact with our sister tribe in a long time. It's not exactly turn right at the second glacier. It's on the other side of the world. But you forget, I have a flying bison. Appa and I can personally fly you to
Well,
the
a bison.
North Pole. Can you teach me to catch one of these penguins? Okay, listen closely, my young pupil. Catching penguins is an ancient and sacred art. Observe.
The penguins caught him.
I haven't done this since I was a kid. You still are a kid. The ship could be booby-trapped. If you want to be a bender, you have to let go of fear.
Lots of interesting little creatures in this that I quite like.
How long were you in that iceberg? I don't know. A few days, maybe? I think it was more like 100 years. What? That's impossible.
Bitch,
Let me
please.
bring the 112-year-old man to you. 100 years. I can't believe it.
That would be a
Sorry,
lot.
Aang. Maybe somehow there's a bright side to all this. I did get to meet you.
Ah, awesome.
Come on, let's get out of here.
Uh-oh. Cool, and it all still works in the ship. It's impressive. Whee! I'd love to have those powers, it'd be so fun. I don't know which one I'd rather have though.
Tell him I found the Avatar. As well as his hiding place.
Uh-oh. Zoom in on the eye, you know he's evil. Oh god, okay. Okay, well I really enjoyed that. I thought that was a very strong pilot episode. And I think they really kind of got the tone and like the world across. Considering that like they didn't show quite the scale of like where this place is set, apart from obviously like the opening kind of graphic and stuff, with the voiceover. You still really got a sense of like what life was like for at least this kind of group of people. And I feel like as the show continues, and if they do go on this quest to get Katara a master to train her, they could go to loads of different parts of the world, and we could see all the different like tribes and kingdoms and stuff that they mentioned at the start, see how they live. And that's always aspects of TV shows that really intrigue me, when you like meet a new set of people living in like a new environment, and you can spend an episode or two getting to know that and seeing how the world works for like different parts. So I really like that, and just like trying to understand the lore of everything. I feel like, you know, the opening like narration explaining stuff and a bit of dialogue we were getting with the siblings at the start, it wasn't too much. I feel like I'm sure there's like a lot more to like how the powers work and all the different nations, all the you know, the different like airbenders, waterbenders, blah blah blah. I feel like there's obviously a lot more to unpack then, and a lot more lore to kind of discover. But for like one like 23 or so minute episode, they didn't throw too much at you. I think you've got the basics, and they explained that very well. And they really got a sense of the characters as well. I don't know, you know, what ones we're going to be following long term. I imagine Aang is going to be the main one. Probably Katara as well. Maybe Sokka will come along with them. I imagine Zuko is going to be like the villain, for the time being, at least. So I don't know exactly which ones are going to be following, like, for the entire duration of the show, or just the season, whatever. But they established them really nicely, I think. I liked the kind of sibling-esque relationship with Katara and Sokka at the start. They really felt like they'd been like bickering siblings all their lives, and I think a lot of that is down to the voice acting. I thought was really good in this. And there's some really cool animation as well. It's very kind of quirky in its style. And even when scenes kind of got a bit serious, like the flashback of Aang, you know, making that ice around him and freezing himself, and then some stuff with Zuko getting a bit angsty, and then like the guy who was training him was just like, let me finish my meal first, blah blah blah. So kind of the balance of comedy and like the more dramatic moments I thought was actually done very well. And they got enough plot across, but also had some moments of like character building and world building, like Aang and Katara kind of riding around on the penguins, and then that led them to finding that ship, and ultimately that kind of led to Zuko being able to track them down, and the cliffhanger at the end. I should have expected the cliffhanger, of course, when it's like a 23-minute episode kind of thing. But yeah, that's kind of gets me quite excited to see what's going to happen next, you know, whenever I get back to the show, because this was a really strong first episode. And yeah, the idea of Aang like freezing himself seemingly, and missing this whole war. He didn't even know a thing about it, so he's been frozen for like 100 years. I like that concept, and it allows some interesting things there, I guess, and plenty of flashbacks to his life, you know, in his previous 12 years before he was frozen, and flashbacks as he learns about what happened during the war. The audience can learn along with him, so that's a really good way of kind of getting exposition without it feeling like exposition, because Aang is learning this stuff at the same time. So that could be really cool, and I really liked him. I like the energy he kind of had. And yeah, even though he's learning kind of this deep thing that he could have been frozen for all this time, there's still kind of a lightheartedness to him and an optimism to him that I thought was actually really cool. So I liked that. And not just really cool because he was frozen in ice for 100 years. So yeah, that was cool. Then I think it was Appa was like the bison, flying bison, but just a floating bison. I'm sure he will fly eventually. But I like the design of him. There's some really cool designs of the creatures in this one that I thought were pretty cool. Again, just nice little world building. Just like the sequence at the start when we got a lot of the lore and things like that. Really well done. And I do remember hearing, like, for like a show that aired on Nickelodeon or whatever, you know, it did tackle some really kind of adult grown-up themes and topics and wasn't afraid to like shy away from stuff. You definitely got a sense of that even in this one. The fact that Katara called Sokka out at the start for being sexist, that was really cool and kind of unexpected. So that was really like interesting to see and really cool to see that, especially when, you know, it's going to be quite younger kids who would be watching the show initially, and then it obviously gained a cult status as time's gone on. Probably from the people who watched it when it first kind of came out, because I remember it airing, I remember it starting and everything, but it was not something that I ever watched avidly, and I don't know why. Just other things, maybe on other channels at the time, who knows. But it seemed a lot of people are kind of discovering this now, and I thought now would be a good time to do this because Avatar's just been put on Netflix. So I thought this would be a good time to kind of really delve into this with the Patreon request, because the person who requested that, it was a little while ago, so thank you for your patience. And yeah, it was really cool to kind of look at this after so long. So I love that kind of the sexism being called out, that was great. And it seems like having these powers and stuff like that, it forces this real responsibility on you, and Katara in particular seemed to being forced to grow up before her time and maybe not quite having a childhood. When they were riding the penguins, she was like, I haven't done this since I was a kid, and Aang quite rightly said, you're still a kid. So I think there's a lot of kind of burden and responsibility on these like people with powers, especially with the war and everything. They have a big role to play in that. So that could be an interesting thing to explore as well. You know, are they going to be robbed of their childhood if they have to go on all these quests and fight in these wars and stuff? That could delve into some really cool topics as well. So I like that a lot. Lots of kind of groundwork laid for really interesting character arcs, I would say. And yeah, Zuko just seems, you know, just the bog standard villain at the moment. But I feel like they would, as the show continues, delve more into his backstory, and even himself, he seems to be almost growing up before his time, because there seems to be a pressure on him from his previous generations who all failed to find the Avatar. And I do like the idea of like the Avatar who can control all four of the elements when, you know, normally it's just you can control one. I like that idea, and the fact that they vanished, the mystery behind that. I'm sure it's going to be a long running arc as well, which is cool. And Aang seemed to lie about knowing him. That's kind of what I got from that. I don't know if that's how you're supposed to read it or not. So could be more there to explore, which is cool. And yeah, really liked Katara. She was pretty badass. But again, could be quite light-hearted about it. And of course we have Sokka, who's kind of there to be the butt of the jokes, I guess, just the miserable one. He's always telling people off. Again, trying to be more of a grown-up than he should be, really, I guess, because he doesn't seem to be getting a childhood either. He's still quite young, and yet he's like teaching all the younger kids about their history and stuff. So interesting stuff there, and I feel like maybe over time his character could be, he's just like ironically he's being thawed out and a bit more open and could become quite good friends with Aang. And yeah, it's cool to see that he doesn't seem to have any powers, but he didn't seem particularly jealous of Katara having powers, or it didn't seem like an inferiority complex to him, which I quite liked. I don't know if that is something they will explore later on down the line, but that I enjoyed as well. So I thought all the characters were actually very strong and made cool first impressions, all very different and unique, and yeah, all kind of have groundwork laid for some really interesting arcs later on down the line. And yeah, that cliffhanger, them being discovered by Zuko, very intrigued to see where that could go. And I'm sure I will find out eventually when I pick up the show again, whether it's just in my own time, whether, you know, we get more Patreon requests to carry on with it, whether, you know, it just becomes a series on the channel eventually, if copyright works out okay. But really, really strong first episode. Great amount of lore, but not too much. The characters are really strong, the voice acting was great, the animation was really cool and kind of quirky, unique. The creatures and the world building I thought was very well done, and they laid a lot of interesting groundwork for future stories and character arcs in like 23 minutes, which is actually very impressive. Yeah, really great job, and I'm excited to have finally seen a full episode of this, and long may it continue. So yeah, really good stuff. And again, I don't know if this is going to be like a long running thing eventually down the line, if I can pick up the show It's going to depend on lots of factors, but I hope so. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, this was really, really good. Very impressed. And yeah, until potentially a future reaction to Avatar: The Last Airbender, or whatever else may pique your interest, yeah, I will see you soon.